Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, it's my belief that the odds always matter. They always do. Some of the best fights you're going to get an opportunity to bet on are fights where the public isn't giving your guy enough respect. Right? Your guy is going off at crazy odds. You remember the first Anthony Joshua-Alexander Usyk fight. Folks, Joshua had already been beaten by Andy Ruiz. Right? Usyk was the unified, in fact, he was the undisputed champion at cruiserweight, had gone up to heavyweight, was still unbeaten. Also, just looking at fight styles, Usyk was much more fluid than Joshua, much faster than Joshua, and he was a southpaw. Not only that, if you looked at Usyk's record, you would see that this was a traveler. This was a road warrior. Right? He beat Maris Briedis in Briedis' country. He beat Tony Bellew in Tony Bellew's country. You go down his resume, this was a guy who would be on the road, beating some of the best in that country, in their backyards. And yet, you got better than a plus 150 on Usyk. For the first fight, Usyk was given less than a 40% chance of winning the fight. Think about that. Well, understand, when you're taking long shots, there's someone on the other side of the play. He is the favorite. He's loved. He has talent. He has certain advantages. Right? Joshua, blessed puncher. Here, Shakur Stevenson, in my eyes, is one of the best fighters in the sport. Understand, his next fight is in Newark. Right, folks? I'm just telling you the places around New York City. Right? The places outside of the Garden, outside of Barclays. Places like NASA Coliseum. Places like the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Right, folks? These places are hungry for boxing. Right? These places are looking for the opportunity to welcome a native son and to show the world that that son is loved. I have no doubt that Shakur Stevenson, who has incredibly fast hands, who's a southpaw with a pinpoint right hand, right, who blew out Oscar Valdez, blew him out. That fight wasn't competitive, folks. Who beat Jamel Herring so badly that Herring, after the fight, talked about how he had faced the future of boxing. Right? Just to understand, this is a homecoming for Shakur Stevenson. And while nobody knows the other guy, everyone knows Stevenson. He has the big reputation. What does that mean? Folks, the big reputation sometimes can give you a judge's scorecard. Right? Look at the Anthony Joshua-Usyk rematch. Understand, there's an interview online where Robert Garcia, one of the sport's best trainers, quite frankly, openly talks about how after Joshua looked good in the 9th round, he was mentally defeated in the 10th round by Usyk, who dominated. And that carried over to the 11th and 12th rounds. right? If there's someone who knows what happened in that fight, it would be Joshua's trainer. But yet, one judge, because Joshua has the big rep, because Joshua is Mr. Box Office, somehow gave that Usyk-Joshua rematch to Joshua. Right? It happens. Right? Let's talk about the sport of boxing just for a quick second. The Canelo-Golovkin fight. Would it shock you to know that there are many fans like me who feel that Golovkin won the second fight? Right? That's after, by the way, Golovkin winning the first fight. Would it shock you to know that two of the judges in the third fight, Canelo-Golovkin, are the two judges who gave the second fight to Canelo? That's what fame, power, reputation does for you in the sport. In this fight, Shakur Stevenson, fighting at home, has it. His opponent, with 8 KOs, might not get a break on the judges' scorecards. So understand, the bet I'm suggesting, I'm expecting to lose. I'm expecting Shakur Stevenson to win this fight. Right? But that's not how I'm going to bet it. In fact, a bet on Robson Conceicao, the opponent. Many of you are saying who? Right? The Olympic gold medalist. The guy who beat the daylights out of Oscar Valdez in Valdez's backyard, where even the announcers of the fight the TV announcers were acting like he was losing the fight. That guy who should have won that Valdez fight by at least 3 rounds, and yet was given by the judges his first loss. I believe that Robson Conceicao, based on styles, has a really good shot on Shakur Stevenson. Right, folks? What are long odds in your mind? Understand, if you only gave Robson Conceicao, whose only loss again is to Oscar Valdez, right? And he fought Oscar before Shakur Stevenson did. Right? That's his only loss. If you gave him a 40% chance of winning the fight, he'd be a plus 150. If you gave him a 25% chance of winning the fight, he'd be a plus 300. Right, folks? He's going off right now at a plus 800 and higher. Right now, Shakur Stevenson, southpaw. I'll agree, that complicates things. But you need to realize that Conceição is a guy who won the silver medal at the World Championships, won the gold medal at the Olympics, was beating Valdez by such a margin that, like Roy Jones, in the 1988 Olympics, he started mocking Valdez. It was a striking visual because you were listening to the announcers, good guys who had a terrible day that day, and they were telling you that, oh, Valdez was too much. And you saw how limited Valdez looked. And you understood that Conceição just moved too well. So here you had Conceição in Valdez's backyard, giving one of the best performances of the last 18 months. And he starts mocking Valdez in a fight that the announcers had Valdez winning. Welcome to boxing. Well, let's talk about a secret to Shakur Stevenson. Stevenson likes to have some space. Stevenson likes to extend his arms. Right? You don't see Shakur Stevenson in the trenches much. Rather, you see him doling out on guys, and he's a master at hitting you when you're on the way in. Right? His fights are tidy. They don't descend into a lot of grappling. But understand, a guy with movement, like Conceição, who can go left, who can go right, who just boxes prettier, if you can believe this, than Stevenson, who's one of the pound-for-pound best. Right? Conceição is going to give Stevenson all he can handle. Now, I know it's upstream. I don't expect in Newark Shakur Stevenson to lose a decision. But I'm expecting Conceição to hold up his side of the bargain and to get out of the early rounds. I don't see a scenario where Stevenson's able to race across the ring and drop him. I think Stevenson's going to have a hard time finding this guy. Right? I think Conceição is the kind of charismatic figure who, even with a tough crowd, is going to have at least 40% of that crowd by round 7 saying, wow, our guy's in a fight tonight. So, this is an opportunity to take a swing at 8-1 odds. They're telling you that if these two guys fought 9 times, Conceição would lose 8 of the 9. Folks, I'm not buying it. While I expect Conceição to lose, I'm curious to see who actually wins this fight. In other words, whatever the judges say, let's say that Anthony Joshua judge who gave Joshua the Usyk rematch, right? Whatever that judge scores, I'm really interested in exactly what actually happens in the ring. I believe this is Shakur Stevenson's biggest test. Right? Not Jamel Herring, who hits hard, but who's stationary. Not Oscar Valdez, who doesn't move that well and is limited. Right? Has a big left hand, don't get me wrong. Valdez beats in the pocket opponents. Right? He beat Miguel Berchelt. Right? But understand, boxing's rock, paper, scissors. Robson Conceição is a back foot. He's a slick fighter. That pinpoint right hand that Stevenson has, it's a pinpoint left hand. Right? That pinpoint left hand that Stevenson has, he's going to have a hard time landing it. Right? I believe this is a competitive fight in the real world. I believe Conceição has a 45% chance of winning the fight. If you're going to give me a plus 800, especially since neither of these guys has 10 KOs, in other words, the fight is likely to go several rounds, then I'll take a swing at the fences. The bet I'm recommending is Conceição at 8-1 and higher. Hell, at 6-1 and higher, but the line is a plus 800 right now. I'll hedge the play with the over. But I need for you to understand the risk involved. If Shakur Stevenson, who wants to fight Lomachenko, who wants to be involved in the Kambosos Devin Haney sweepstakes, if Shakur Stevenson comes out, asserts himself, is on a seek and destroy mission, is on his front foot, and drops Conceição in the early rounds, you lose it all. I'm going to take my chances. I personally believe this is one of the best bets on the board. Right? 8-1, and I get an Olympic gold medalist? I know 33 is older. I'll say this. If you're 33 and you move like this guy did against Oscar Valdez, I'll take my chances. There is a distinct possibility here that this guy makes the smooth-looking Shakur Stevenson look robotic. right? Whoever wins this fight at 130, you need to pay close attention to Robson Conceição, right? Like Usyk, he's fighting outside of his country. Like Usyk, he's not that well known outside of boxing circles. I give Shakur Stevenson, who clearly believes he's the best in the area code, right? And I mean weight-wise. I believe in Shakur Stevenson's head, all he has to do to beat Lomachenko is get the fight, right? I give Shakur Stevenson credit because based on styles, in my opinion, this is one of the toughest opponents he could possibly have picked. And the public has no idea. That's where you and I come in, right? No one's betting on the fight. You want to stand up. You want to stand in line. Trust me, in line at the casino, not a lot of people are even going to know who you're betting on, right? The person behind the desk, you're going to have to give them the bet number, right? Because if you walk up and say, hey, I'm taking Robson Conceicao, you might have to say, you know, he's the guy fighting Shakur Stevenson, to help the guy find the bet on the board, right? It's guys like this that upset the apple cart, right? I believe Conceição, again, Olympic gold medalist, distinguished amateur career, should be unbeaten. The only loss is an absolute farce. Has been on the road before. After getting ripped off against Oscar Valdez, I'm guessing if he's ahead in this fight, he's not going to waste time mocking his opponent. Right? This is a dangerous fighter. As I like to say, some bets make themselves. When you hear that you're getting 8-1 on this guy, you need to say thank you very much, even when he's fighting one of the best in the sport, pound for pound. Right? So I understand. Shakur Stevenson is sparred with Terrence Crawford, number one on my pound for pound list. Right? Clearly, Shakur Stevenson has won a silver medal at the Olympic Games. Right? I'm going to take my chances here with the gold medalist. I like Robson Conceicao. I'm going to hedge the play with the over. Understand what that means. If Conceição wins the fight by decision, which will require uphill climbing, but if he wins the fight by decision, you hit on both parts of the play. The 8-1 and the over. I'll take my chances. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.